Hello everyone and welcome to this week's episode of the Munce Report as we're coming to you from what was a wet, but the sun's out now and it's a drying sort of conditions, hopefully good signs ahead of the weekend.
Hope so, Adam. We've had enough, I think. Plenty of rain over the last month or so, but expected to clear and hopefully we can get back to the races soon.
Yeah, well, fingers crossed that's the case ahead of the weekend. And big show to get through, recapping Southern Stock's win. Obviously, he's on a Queensland Derby path. We've got to meet the team. And we've also got an off-the-track feature on Wowzers, who's recently retired. So let's get into the show. Well, it was another winning week for the team and an impressive winner at that, Southern Stock. For those that were faithful, that knew his second up run was, I guess, too bad to be true in a way. That they showed faith. He paid $7 or $8 and an impressive win en route to the Derby.
Yeah, it was a good win. He certainly didn't flatter 2 starts back at Eagle Farm, but I think Larry and I sort of hatched a pretty good plan of how to ride this horse. We've sort of got him a little bit worked out now, and he was a bit unknown on the heavy track, but he seemed to handle it quite well there last Saturday and won impressively.
Certainly did, and obviously the Derby, you've mentioned that all along, and seems to time to perfection now because you can give him a little break and then talk us through the plan heading into that main aim.
Yeah, well, one of my main concerns at the beginning of the prep was obviously trying to get enough prize money and getting his rating up high enough to be able to get into these better races. So I think now that having won that race there Saturday gives me a bit of an opportunity to back off him a little bit, and he'll run in the Queensland Guineas en route to the Rough Habit Plate and then the Derby before we head to the paddock with him. But I just feel he's a horse that, as an older horse out over Trippy, who knows, he could even get out to 2 Mile later on in his career, but he's certainly a nice stayer.
Yeah, well, it's certainly nice to have in the stable and exciting times for Reed Racing heading into the Winter Carnival. Okay, off the track time, and today we're bringing the story of Wowzers, who was a performer for the stable, and he's recently been retired. And Chris, just before we get into what he's doing now, let's recap his racing career. He was an early running 2-year-old, won on debut, and was almost headed to the Magic Millions, wasn't he?
He was. He was a nice horse. He won his first start in the race at Caloundra on a heavy track, beat a horse called the Astrologist, who's won a couple of good races in Melbourne. Very good galloper down there, and then he ran 5th in the BJ McLaughlin before having an injury, which he spent a little bit of time in the paddock, but he still come back and won another 2 or 3 races for us. So he was a good galloper.
Yeah, so he's just recently come out of the stable, and you found him a lovely new home with Kerry Duval and her family at a property at Canunga. We'll show you some lovely photos and vision of him in his new surroundings. But Kerry's reported that he's settled into his new life really well, and they've named him Joey because apparently he reminds Kerry and her family of a young kangaroo. He's pretty inquisitive and he's playful, and but he's also very sweet and kind around the kids.
Yeah, well, he was always that kind of a horse. He had a good nature, good temper, and he was quite smart too. So I'm sure he'll pick things up very quickly, and I don't think they'll have too much trouble with him.
Yeah, well, speaking of picking things up quickly, no grand plans with him as yet, but obviously just working through his re-education, I guess. And she was saying that they've taken him to an obstacle course, which features bridges and ropes and things that he wouldn't have seen in his racing environment. I guess that's all about just getting him used to his new surroundings and relaxing, I guess. Yeah,
that's right. And some horses pick it up very quick, and some take a little bit of time, but he was pretty smart and did pick things up quick, so I don't feel he'll have any problem.
Yeah, another thing, interesting thing that Kerry mentioned, that just, I guess, with thoroughbreds being rehomed in general, she said, was a great quote, they're like a blank canvas because they've had all this experience around people, trucks, races, busy environments, and then obviously they're learning a new thing, but she said it's a great thing for off-the-track horses because they've already had so much experience.
That's right, and look, the racehorses have to be re-educated basically, and they have to slow down. They're used to sort of doing things at fast, high pace, galloping and everything, but when they're off the track and they have to slow down and do other disciplines, that's where the temperament and nature really comes in, and that's where you've got to help them along and give them a bit of encouragement, and they'll pick it up.
Yeah, well, great to see another Munce Racing horse having a nice home in retirement, and we'll keep you updated on the Wowzer story. And we also had some correspondence from Simone Fisher about First Crush, who we featured in our Off the Track segment a few weeks ago, and he's coming along with his education, and we've got some vision here of him going through the next phase of his education.
Yeah, it was interesting listening to Simone say about how he got himself a bit worked up First Crush in a new environment. Well, he's a bit like that, but I'm sure once he's been there the first time, he won't have any trouble.
Yeah,
pick it up pretty quick.
Yeah, well, it got some nice vision of him here just walking around with a horse educator, I guess. And
Horse educator.
talk us through what you see in the vision here.
Well, that's just obviously the horse educator giving the horse confidence and making the horse watch him and take notice of what he's actually doing. And it's just all about training the horse and getting the horse to accept and respect the handler, basically, and learn more about the environment they're in.
Yeah, well, it's very, very cool to watch and something that we don't often see. So we'll hope to bring you some more off the tracks in the coming weeks. Okay, we'll meet the team this week, and we've got a long-serving member of the stable involved. Chris, Judy Roberts has been a big part of your team for a number of years.
Sure has, Adam. No, Judy's been probably with our stable nearly since when I first started, on and off, and she's still with us today, so we must be doing something right. But Judy's a very integral part of our team, and very solid work, and never misses a day, and wouldn't be the same without her.
Well, there you go, Jude. That's a pretty good introduction from the boss. But tell us about your story, how long you have been involved, and what you love about being involved in racing.
I've been involved in racing all my life. I was leading horses to the track when I was 12-year-old, riding work from when I was 15, come down to Brisbane when I was 17. Been a jockey, I've been an owner, I've been a trainer, stable hand, track work rider. And I've been with Chris for about the last 7 years now, haven't I?
Yeah, be close to that, yeah.
Well,
yeah.
I was with Barry first before you got your licence.
That's right, yeah, you were too. Yeah, that's right.
So racing's been your life, and an interesting fact that many people may not know is you were one of the first female jockeys to ride when you were a bit of a trailblazer in the whole female jockey scene.
Yes, well, Pam O'Neill rode on the 19th of May 1979, and I rode a week later on the 26th of May 1979 along with Cheryl Neal. So.
Yeah, very good. And we've got a photo of you guys all at a barrier trial in Brisbane. Talk us about what that photo and what that day was.
That's right. That was the 14th of May, and there was 4 of us rode in barrier trials that day. It was the first time that women could ride with men in barrier trials, and we rode some winners between us, so we were very pleased.
Yeah, so obviously that was a pioneering time for women in racing. I mean, Chris, lots of female jockeys. It's a growing area. You know, there's lots of women jockeys everywhere, all around the country now, isn't there?
Well, there is, and I mean, also Jude tells these stories, and it's quite interesting because it's all very true. And you know, she said that the girls didn't have allowances back then, which I found quite strange at the time. But I suppose that's the way it was. But they're equal to the boys, and they obviously didn't have an allowance back then. But Jude's ridden around a few different country tracks and city tracks everywhere. So what are some of the trainers and horses you've ridden, and where's you sort of...
Old Alec Morrison was a great supporter of mine when I started out. Lacey, his granddaughter, finally became a jockey as well, and she did very well down here, if you remember.
Yeah, I think Lacey's still riding up north now.
And she's still riding. Yeah. Anyway, Alec, it would be nice if Alec could have been alive to see her ride, but he wasn't. Ray McCall, they were leading trainers in Toowoomba, and I even rode a winner for old Jimmy Atkins last time I had a ride for him. So.
Well, there you go. And tell us, what was it like at that time? Obviously, it was a pioneering time for female jockeys, and talk us through where you went with your career from there.
Well, it wasn't easy, you know, with no allowance, no experience, no allowance, but we rode around the bush road where we could get rides, you know. To ride a horse, we didn't care where we rode them, as long as we had a ride. That's all that mattered.
I think that's the difference in this era compared to the bygone era. You know, that some of the riders, they were just happy to ride, and they didn't mind where they went and what horses they rode. They just wanted to ride, and hence what Jude was saying. You know, when the girls started riding back then, that's pretty much all they wanted to do was just ride in races.
Yeah. And when did you finish up your career? How long did you ride for?
I rode for 10 years, and I finished in 1989, and I had my very last ride for Darryl Golan, Tony Golan's father. So,
well, there you go. Lots of history there. And why did you decide to pull up stumps?
Because I would like to have children. I wanted to have children, so I wasn't going to do both.
Fair enough. Well, family time was calling, so that's a pretty good reason. But I guess that's the important thing. You're able to still stay involved in the sport that you love in another aspect.
That's right. Well, I managed to ride 10 winners when I was having my first baby, but when I got pregnant with the second one, I gave it away.
Well, very good. Well, you're renowned as one of the stable hands around here, as I guess, for want of a bit of a word, we'll call you the carrot lady. You love giving out the carrots to the horses, and talk us through who. Obviously, carrots. It's not the type of thing that all the horses do eat, but who's a fan of the carrots in the stable at the moment?
Smart Meteor, Quebec, Shooting Roses, Tiptoes, Dash for Dreams.
Jude could nearly tell you every single one of them off by heart. Don't worry about that, because she's very fastidious with the horses. And
I know who likes them.
yeah, that's one of the good things with Jude over in the stables. Like, she's attention to detail with the horses, very old school, takes her time with them, and puts a lot of time and effort in them, which is what you want in every stable.
Very good. And we know you love the horses, so before we leave, you got to give us who is your stable favourite at the moment.
Oh, it's too many. It honestly is. It's too many.
Probably all that list of the carrot lovers.
Those as well, yeah, plus a heap more.
No, I'll tell you, she's got her side. She's got her girl's side down
My
the back
girl's
there,
side,
because
my girl's side.
she does all the boxes. No one else can get in and do the boxes and the waters. Jude's got to clean the boxes and the waters and look after them. They're her girls.
Yeah, but there's a lot of nice boys here too.
She loves them all. So, well, thanks, Judy. Thanks for your time. Great to hear more about your story in racing, and we'll be back soon with more Meet the Teams in the coming weeks and months. Okay, weekend preview time, and as we mentioned earlier, hoping for some drying conditions over the coming days after a lot of the rain. Our gallant Dancers entered for Ipswich Thursday to potentially make his debut in a Cutis 3-year-old maiden plate over the 800 metres, and we spoke about him a few weeks ago in the show. You nominated him as a runner to follow following his trial.
Yeah, well, look, it's a race that sort of popped up. It wasn't originally on the table, but with jump outs and trials being called off this week, it was there, and it was a nice option for him, I felt. And he drew good, and we were able to secure Jimmy Orman to ride, so I think he'll go around. He trialled on a soft track the other day at Doomben, so obviously we haven't had him on a heavy track, but he's set to handle the soft quite well. So at this stage, we'll look to go to the races with him on Thursday.
Okay, and then we turn our attention to Friday night at the Sunshine Coast, where there's 3 acceptors. Strategic Success, who was a nice second behind Majestic's Request last start, and Hot Sauce are entered for the maiden handicap over the mile. 2
nice maideners. Strategic Success ran very well the other day, as you said, behind Majestic's Request. He's a big striding bloke. He's a Love Conquers All. They normally handle the wet, but he is a big actioned horse and a big striding horse, so we'll just have to see what the weather does there as to whether he goes round or not, but he's in good form. Hot Sauce ran very good the other day. I thought she'd come from a long way back on a soft track and to finish 5th, so I would suggest she'll probably go around at this stage. The fact that she's drawn well, I think, gives her every opportunity to run, so we just have to wait with them to see that they don't get transferred to the poly track. If that was the case, I might have to rethink things with them.
Yeah, I guess it could be a Friday morning scenario where they make a decision if the meeting does go to the poly or stays on the turf.
That's right. So, but both horses are in good order and they'll both race very well.
Very good. And then the other runners, Majestic's Request, who we just mentioned from the Strategic Success race, entered for a ratings band 0 to 60, so stepping up in grade and over the mile.
Up in distance, up to the mile, but he's done very well. He looks good and he seems to be holding his form quite well too, this preparation. So this stage he's going to head to the races. Boris Thornton retains the ride on him, so he knows him well, and I think he should give us a good sight.
Okay, very good. Well, that's the runners for the weekend. Fingers crossed for some drying conditions, and you can get some horses out into action.
Exactly. Can't wait.